for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu, and I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's out to Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and plan to getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That trade season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on to the hearse. Party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Good morning, everybody. I missed all of you out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show and happy Monday to you. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday. And you guys, I'm so excited to be bringing in my co-host with the most, Big O. What up, Big O? Happy Monday, my friend.
Great holiday. Happy Monday to you. It's good to see you again. And man, I'm telling you, I'm feeling good out here. I took Friday off and man, got to spend some family time with all these kids. Yeah,
Great.
You know, in the hood when you when you say all the kids, you know, in the hood, everybody's like 5, 6, 7. but with my small village, man, had a great weekend. I'm really good to be back here in the studio. I don't know if you caught the show on Friday, but Jake Grabbride and Eric Calligraphy did an exceptional job. I mean, we got so many compliments from that show. People are like, man, they need to be working together more often.
Nice. I love it. Their camaraderie is, above bar. You know what I mean? So I love that they were able to be together. We love when they get together, man. They always have a great time and it shows on camera.
Yeah, it does. Hey, well, I guess let me get back into the swing of things. Want to welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show and remind you right now is a perfect time to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the Morning Update Show with people you feel could benefit from culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Now, today we have a few live guests. We have Donita Sinclair. Donita Sinclair is going to join us. A lot of people saw Donita in the news over the weekend as she's decided to move forward with the lawsuit against the city, a wrongful death lawsuit involving her son, Lorenzo Anderson Jr., who was murdered on the evening of June 20th, 2020, right over there by the Chop. And so we've got her in studio here. And I know a lot of people as well who might not have ever seen Donita on our show, but you've heard us talk about her. You know, I don't think there's a month that's passed by since Lorenzo Anderson Jr. was murdered that we haven't mentioned Lorenzo and we haven't mentioned Donita. So we're welcoming Donita here to the Converge Media Studios. Also, we're going to be joined by a big fella, Jake Grabbright. You know, this guy is all about travel and traveling and some of everything else. And Jake, he's going to be talking about something that Amtrak has going on. There's only 2 days left, but you know, Amtrak is celebrating their 50th year anniversary. People, I know my mama's watching. My mama would tell you when I was a little kid, I wanted to grow up and be the chief of onboard services for Amtrak. There was no other job that I wanted than to be the chief of onboard services on Amtrak, because as a little kid, took that train from Seattle all the way to the East Coast. You see America and how great and how big it is. And so Jake Grabbright will be joining us to talk about that as well. Whew, Trey Holiday.
Great lineup today.
Yeah, no, a lot going on. So before we well, a few other things here real quick too. And we just got a few clips and then we're gonna get to Donita. Donita. You know, it's some stuff I just saved in the bag because we weren't together. So I was like, well, we're just gonna put that in the bag and we're gonna wait. But also want to acknowledge, and we got a lot of stuff coming up this month, is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Big shout out. You know what I'm saying? And especially here in Seattle, we definitely see the contributions of our Asian American and Pacific Islanders, brothers and sisters. And so we're going to be acknowledging them this month. And, you know, it's all across the board. We from the things that we see here across music, art, culture, law, like, you know, I mean, this is part and parcel. And we want to uplift our Asian American and Pacific Islander brothers and sisters. And what time is it? I guess we try to jump into this right here. One of these things I had in the bag for you, Trey Holiday, was that Senator Tim Scott came out and he was like, yo, man, America ain't racist. And I was gonna talk about this on air, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wait until I'm back with Trey Holiday again, and we're gonna have this discussion. Oh yeah, I jumped ahead a little bit here. Can you play Senator Tim Scott, please?
People are making money and gaining power by pretending we haven't made any progress at all, by doubling down on the divisions we've worked so hard to heal. You know this stuff is wrong. Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
All right, I know that's your bruv right there. But before you go in on Senator Tim Scott, Republican from South Carolina, here's our vice president.
Senator Tim Scott said last night that America is not a racist country. Do you agree with that? And what do you make of his warning against fighting discrimination with more discrimination?
I believe that we need to address, well, first of all, no, I don't think America is a racist country, but we also do have to speak truth about the history of racism in our country and its existence today. And I applaud the president for always having the ability and the courage, frankly, to speak the truth about it. He spoke what we know from the intelligence community. One of the greatest threats to our national security is domestic terrorism manifested by white supremacists.
2 words, Trey Holiday.
Oh, man, you know, this is, you know, a news cycle I really was hoping would pass over me. The truth of the matter is that it felt like, you know, Vice President Kamala Harris there was kind of double speaking a little bit. America's not racist, yet the greatest threat to our democracy here in this nation is white supremacy. And so one of the things that I, really strikes me about both of these guys even coming out to say something like this. Number one, they're Black. Number two, to not be able to bring their lived experience into the truth is kind of a misnomer. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're really tackling here with so many voices on the ground is the fact that the ideals of racism have permeated so many of our systems that it's hard to deny it. Oh, you can't actually say America isn't racist when so much of what America is built on is the backs of enslaved labor, free labor for hundreds of years that allowed this country to have that boost that it has economically. Ultimately, we still see the effects of those ideologies permeating our system at a wide range of sectors. When we talk about the data that showcases that Black and Indigenous families are at the bottom rung when it comes to home ownership, when it comes to education rates, when it comes to the ways that we're treated in the healthcare system, you could go on and almost pull out any sector of this country and actually tie it to racist ideologies, racist practices. So the idea is that America is not racist is a huge misnomer. And, it was very disappointing to hear this from Tim Scott and Kamala Harris. No matter where you are, Democrat or Republican, I don't think that matters. At the end of the day, as a Black person living in this country, you have to identify the root of racism in order to uproot it out of our systems. The fact that we have major players like these guys saying, well, no, America is not a racist country. I mean, I got stuff sent to my phone after this came. So many little people coming up on the Roadworks Black News Network and, people that are Black saying, yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't say that, America is racist. Yeah, there's some racism here. I'm like, come on, y'all. At the end of the day, we need to be able to uplift all of the truths if we're really going to be changing them. We talk about it on this platform all the time, Omari. We got to be real with our history. If we're not, we're going to continue to repeat it. And that's what I, am thinking about the most when I hear these kind of statements coming out from such a large platform. First and foremost, let's be real here. America is a racist nation. We got to deal with that history in order to change it.
Yeah, I think that I got a lot of thoughts on this. Well, all right. So first of all, a few things. Tim Scott, like South Carolina, I've been down in South Carolina a lot. I got family down in South Carolina. I mean, South Carolina is hella racist. Just itself, forget America. Like South Carolina, is you serious? And I mean, I get Tim Scott because he's pandering to the white people down there to make sure he gets reelected. I don't agree with him, but I'm like, damn, okay. Well, at least maybe there's a method to his madness. But Kamala Harris is like, yo, I mean, here's the breakdown. Here's once again where these elected officials, without just having a willingness to just tell the whole story, you know what I'm saying? And they pander it over here, and this is the end result. See, because they had an opportunity, Tim Scott and Kamala Harris had an opportunity to really just keep it real. And keeping it real, there really is a big portion of America through their lived experience who haven't experienced racism. And when things that reach the national level, like a George Floyd, they can consider it like a one-off. There are people in America who never experienced racism. You know what I'm saying? Most of the reason because of the color of their skin. So it's okay to acknowledge them. It's okay to be like, hey, you know what? There's a certain percentage here in America where people aren't going to agree that America's racist just because they haven't encountered racism. Say that. You know what I'm saying? But also be like, yo, on the other hand, there's a whole lot of other people who have experienced racism generationally and systemically here and you put that all the way out there, it's very real that you can have two different realities in one country based on one constitution. And people should say that. But instead of being like, no, it's not racist at all. Maybe not for you and your fam at the country club. I got you, bruv. It probably ain't racist for you. You guys haven't encountered racist hurdles in your life. So why would you ever say that the country is racist? Cool. I understand that. But the problem is Kamala Harris, I don't know who she's pandering to, because the racist white people ain't going to vote for her no way. So I don't know who she's trying to tap dance for out here. Tim Scott, we know who he tried to tap dance for. He out of touch. South Carolina, just, man, it's one of the most racist places ever. I remember I was a college recruiter. When I first graduated college, I was a recruiter for the University of North Carolina system. And I'd be down there in South Carolina recruiting at high schools. And the prisons had more computers than the high schools did. You know what I'm saying? It's South Carolina. And, you know, it's the black schools. You go there, they got one computer. You go to the prison, there's all kinds of computers in there. South Carolina is wild. And Tim Scott to sit up there and just lie. But more importantly, I think for people to actually think that it's okay. And the worst thing, I'll throw it back to you, Trey. The worst thing is Tim Scott being a U.S. Senator and Kamala Harris being the vice president, how big their platforms are when they're like, no, it's not racist, this and that. It totally negates everything that all these everyday people, organizers, community people, you know, even politicians on a local and state level say when the vice president comes out and is like, no, we're not a racist country. Man, come on.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about that. Oh, and I think one of the big things that this really draws for me is the fact that this is why people are not listening to y'all. I mean, let's be real. So many people on the ground are like, man, they stopped having our best interest at heart long time ago when you're talking about a lot of these elected officials. And it's unfortunate. Again, our political system is a part of all of this meandering. It's a part of this ideology. We have seen it. Just look at the voter suppression laws that just passed in the South in multiple states. Here we have two people who have an opportunity. It's just like when, Barack Obama came out and said, you know what I mean? No, we don't need to defund. At the end of the day, you guys have an opportunity to actually change the trajectory of this country. But instead, you need to play to the ones that got you to where you are. And this is why, there's a real need for people that are going to actually care about the interests of people on the ground when they have these positions of political power. We say it and see it all of the time. And to be honest, I was like, man, here we are again. We're constantly climbing up these battles. I mean, even when we talk about, racial realism and the fact that people actually think that we've been incrementally getting to some type of equity is not true. And the data keeps showing it. There's so much research and surveys out there that are showing us all what the truth is. But not only that, there are people like myself, people like so many others, thousands of people that have utilized their platform to actually spotlight these disparities. And ultimately, it's about our lived experience, because that data is nothing more than a reflection of how we actually live on the ground. So two people, that have these large platforms. I get it's the vice president, and I get that it's this, the senator down there in South Carolina. I mean, clearly, this is another thing. It's like we're constantly facing the battles from within. And this is why we talk about it, particularly in the Black community, because there really is a break. Maybe it's a class thing. Like you said, hey, you get to be on the golf course. You know what I mean? You're not just a caddy. You're actually got your caddy. You're actually thinking that you're at the same level as the people that you're playing golf with, or the people that are in this country club. And you work so hard to show them that you are qualified to be there. And it's one of those things where even that hard work that you do to get to these spaces of acceptance, that is a part of the systemic racism that we face. Why is it that you don't have the exact same opportunities, given the exact same effort as a white man in this country? So there's so much that I can say about this, Omari. And the truth is that this is why it is so important for us to have collective voice and for people to be a part of the solution, because we cannot sit here and think that any president, vice president, senator, whoever they are, that they're really going to carry the torch for us. We have to do that ourselves, though.
Yeah, man, come on. It's a whole lot of cooning going on, man.
Period, brother.
I'm just gonna throw it out there, man. And also, Senator Tim Scott, Vice President Kamala Harris, please provide us with the date. Please provide us with the date that racism ended in the United States of America. You know, Tim Scott was some 100 years ago, kids did this and that. If you could please send us the date. That was the day. That's a momentous date that I'm sure Kamala Harris and Tim Scott both know is the date that America had stopped being racist, racist system, and everything else. Hey, look, we went overtime. I gotta hop on to the next thing here. Had an opportunity to speak with Dr. Cornel West, thanks to the Northwest African American Museum. Talked to him about a few different things. I think we might end up segmenting between today and tomorrow. But, you know, one of the things we've been talking about here is the lack of empathy that elected officials have shown with all this gun violence happening in Seattle. You know, we talked about how all these elected officials had their canned response around the George Floyd verdict. You know, they sent out all their PR team, but they remain quiet as Black and brown children are murdered here in Seattle and King County. And I explained what was going on here to Dr. Cornel West and one of his feedback and his thoughts. Here it is. How important is it as well that our leaders and our elected officials also make their voices heard, that they recognize and they acknowledge the trauma that we're experiencing in our neighborhoods?
Oh, I think it's crucial. I think it's very important for you to keep that spotlight on the way that you do, because that hypocrisy needs to be pointed out. It needs to be pointed out. Every life is precious. So many of these elected officials are concerned about the next election rather than concerned about struggle for justice. That's just a fact. That's the way the political system is organized too often when it comes to how politicians participate in it. They're just concerned about how they stay in office, where they're going to get their next flow of money, what kind of donors they're going to have, who they're going to alienate. So when it's time to take a stand, especially for Black folk, they check and see what the polls are saying. You know what I mean? That difference between the thermostat and the thermometer, you know what I mean? They're just thermometers. They're going to check and see what the climate is. They don't want to be a thermometer and just intervene and shape a part of what I was talking about before. There are a few politicians who do, and those deserve serious support. But I think as a truth teller, and that's part of what it is to be a journalist, right? You got to be a truth teller and lay it out.
Hey man, you know, it's real deal. We're gonna continue to put this pressure on these elected officials out here. Why y'all so quiet? People dying, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're so quiet. And you look at their social media, it's all over the place, which is cool. Be all over the place. Do you. Just stop forgetting about us.
You know what? I think that what he said there is so vital, and we do talk about it all the time. And I love that he said for us to really continue to put that pressure on and keep that spotlight on them. At the end of the day, the hypocrisy is real. You know, we think about the opportunities that our elected officials really have to change the scope. And, you know, oftentimes, if it's not in their best interest, they're not looking to do that. And he is so right that they're thinking about the next election. I love how he said they're checking the polls. They're, you know, checking the poll. That is so real. And this is why so much of them, in terms of how the lived experience has changed for so many on the ground, it doesn't exist. This idea that, you know, maybe they can make some decisions and it'll trickle down. We know that that doesn't happen. And I think that, you know, he's absolutely right. We have to continue to put that pressure on. It's important for, you know, media outlets like Converge to really be the ones that are going to usher that voice in, because we know it's not coming from a lot of other formats. Oh, so I'm very thankful that we have that positioning, that we're able to continue to do that.
Yep. And then one more thing here, and we'll get it in. You got a minute for us, right? Oh, okay. All right. I'm talking to Donita here on set. Well, this is so I talked to that question right there, segued into what's happening in our community, and especially when we talk about Black on Black crime and murder and everything else. And Dr. West gave a real unique perspective here, and really talked about all the different variables, unfortunately, that are tying into what's happening on the streets in our community.
When it comes to the levels of violence within the Black community, which is also very, very traumatizing for folk. There has to be an analysis of how Black young life, especially in the hood, has been cheapened by a whole host of things. But politicians' language and crime bills and 3 strikes you're out and mass incarceration, all of those send signs to young Black folk that their life has very little value, very little value. And it gets internalized. It gets internalized. So that it becomes levels of self-devaluation, levels of devaluation of other Black folk. And as you know, most of the violence that takes place in any corner of the country takes place in close proximity to one's own neighborhood, no matter what color they are. And that's true for Black folk as it is white, brown, anybody else, you see. And when Black life is cheapened, yes, police, given its captivity to white supremacy too often, but at the same time, a lot of our young brothers especially don't view the lives of other young Black brothers as having high value. And where does that come from? From the larger white supremacist environment in which they're socialized. And they get a sense that they don't really matter that much. And see, that there's got to be a way of putting forward an analysis that keeps track of their humanity, of their choices, which when they're killing other folk are wrong choices, and of the larger context under which they are operating.
Yeah, I could have talked to Dr. West all night, to be honest with you, and I had some more clips from Dr. West, and we'll put those on tomorrow. Okay, 2 up. Where'd Trey go? There she is. Hey, she's hella. Yeah, I was just saying that, man, real good conversation with Dr. West, and thanks to the people over at Northwest African American Museum.
Yeah, I mean, what a great connection, because we know him to be a voice of real reason. I mean, in this country, he has been one of those folks with utilizing his platform to share the proper messaging. And I think he's absolutely right. This is why we talk about direct investment needed in our communities, because we have to actually uplift pathways for these young people to be elevated, to feel important. I think his message was so true and spot on that, when we talk about, a lot of this violence, we know that the numbers are really centered around our youth. And so what are we doing to change these trajectories for these young people? Why aren't we making more investment into their futures and into them understanding the importance of their lives as a part of larger society? I think he's just spot on here. And I'm so glad that you were able to talk to the Dr. Cornel West. What an amazing opportunity. Oh, and I'm glad. I can't wait to hear more of his clips throughout maybe tomorrow, because I think it's important that we are able to showcase it's not just about, these powers that folks have or these platforms that they have. It's really about how you're wielding it, how you're using it, and how you're doing something to benefit those that are outside of your own lived experience. I think that's very important when we talk about the particular ideas and ideals that we deal with right here in this nation.
All right, good stuff. We're gonna take a quick break right now. When we come back, you ready, Donita? Now you got the quiet voice. I'm ready.
Ready as I'm gonna get.
Before you get on camera,
I know I was wrong, but after listening to him, it's really sad. It is some concerns, and it's real, but honestly, Oh, sorry about that. But honestly, hey Trey, not a lot of people is going to listen to him because they made sure that he's tucked in the back, and just being a young adult coming up, it had to take something traumatic to happen. Not just that, but in my life, while I got myself together to really listen to someone like that, we're going to overlook him because he's not cool. He's not got the hip. He don't got the jury, but he got the knowledge. And so that's a lot of things that we are African Americans that we are afraid of. We're afraid to sit down and start taking responsibility.
Right on.
There it
Agree.
is. Hey, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we have Donita Sinclair. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
And I am Trey Holiday. Hey, y'all.
You look comfortable over there, Trey.
Can't wait to be back tomorrow. I missed you guys.
Over there at Holiday Studios.
You know it, brother.
You know it's good that we can make this introduction with a laugh and with a smile. Introducing Donita Sinclair. You know
Thank
what I'm
you.
saying? And how are you?
Actually, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No, it's good that you're here. And I guess in what is this, May, June? It's almost been 1 year since you were actually on the Morning Update Show, just a few days after your son Lorenzo Anderson Jr. was murdered up there on Capitol Hill.
Right.
And so you visited us a few times, but this is the first time you've been actually on the show. And we came out and covered you a few times as well when you were doing community events.
Right.
So welcome back to the Morning Update Show.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Hi, sis.
Hi, honey.
So we want to talk to you about a few things today. One, of course, is that you're moving forward with this lawsuit against the city of Seattle, the Seattle Police Department, so everything else. Man, city of Seattle got so many lawsuits pending right now around CHOP. It's wild. But we wanted to talk to you about the legal route, but we also wanted to make sure that we say his name and we continue to breathe life into the name Horace Lorenzo Anderson Jr.
Welcome.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of times, and we've seen that that over the last 12 months, people have cherry picked your son's name to just go with whatever narrative they push it. You know what I'm saying? But we want to give you the floor to be able to breathe life into your son's name. And so we'll get to that. Well, let's start. I think Channel 13 did a pretty good job right here, compacting everything into like 2 minutes as to what's going on with your lawsuit. So let's play this clip.
I had this ultrasound picture. He was born at 24 weeks. This is just him and I.
A day hasn't gone by for Donita Sinclair without thinking of her son, Lorenzo Anderson.
Why was the CHOP even present without security? Why would we have this type of event and we would evacuate our precinct? I mean, so what was that about? What was that environment set up for?
Sinclair believes the city failed to protect her son after police abandoned the East Precinct last summer.
Seattle police say the 19-year-old was shot and killed near the intersection of 10th and Pine Street last June when the area was known as CHOP, or Capitol Hill Occupied Protest. The family's lawyer is claiming that the city created this dangerous environment and also failed to provide medical help.
City officials can't have it both ways. One day they're saying that it's a summer of love and a block party, and the next day they're saying it's too dangerous for police and medics to even go into CHOP. So which is it?
In the days following the shooting, Seattle police released body cam footage and told Q13 News officers tried to respond to the incident but were allegedly met with a violent crowd that prevented them from reaching Anderson. Medics with the fire department said they would not enter that area without police.
I'm deeply regretful that he was shot and killed. And I was able to meet with his father and some of the family members.
Mayor Jenny Durkin didn't specifically comment on the lawsuit, but says the rise in violence involving young people is a problem.
Regardless of the outcome of that litigation, we're really trying to make sure that we take steps right now because we've seen an uptick in gun violence in Seattle last year and this year, where more young men have been killed. And we want to make sure that we respond appropriately as a community to every one of those shootings.
Seattle police identified the suspect as Marcel Long. The 19-year-old is still at large and wanted on a first-degree murder charge.
All right. So one thing here, and I'm going to toss it over to you, but I always like to throw this out here because SPD keeps riding with this narrative, man, that people was blocking them. And the reporter right there used the word allegedly, which is probably the most accurate. We were there, right? You were there, Jake. We were there, and when first they came in with straps everywhere. Didn't nobody want no smoke with all them guns. That was the first time we saw the police enter the CHOP, and they came in there heated up. There was people yelling. Most people were yelling like we were yelling. We're on tape like, yo, he's already gone.
Right.
He's already gone. And so I don't know. SPD keeps saying that they were being obstructed, and KUOW actually put together a whole, I think it was actually Haruko put together a whole breakdown off of that. But anyways, that's one small part. You're going ahead with the lawsuit. Tell us more about it.
Well, thank you. I am going to move forward with the lawsuit because I think accountability is important. And I think that the city let us down, me and my son. I think the city let actually everybody that was at the CHOP at that time let them down.
How did the city let him down?
Well, just not entering the CHOP and saving his life when he was in critical condition. They said that they had a safe spot. I really can't talk too much about the lawsuit, but I can just tell you that they said that they was at a safe spot. And from my understanding, that they would plan that they had some misunderstanding there. I'm not really for sure all about it. I just know as a mother, my son didn't get the services that I know that he for sure needed.
Right. And you're saying that was intentionally based upon the fact that the city of Seattle decided to make that a no-go zone for police and fire.
Well, why they would do that, I'm not sure. I just know that the city adopted that party, that event that event happening, and they should have took responsibility of what happened inside that event.
Right. And when you say that event, you mean the CHOP.
The CHOP, yes. Yeah.
Organized protests.
Correct.
Right.
I don't know what that all is, but I just know that was the place, that was the name of it, and so there should have been protection, and it was a lawless.
So, do you see the CHOP, the CHOP, and the murder of your son also having a direct tie back to the Seattle Police Department abandoning their precinct?
Absolutely. I think that they most definitely think that they could have been there in a decent time instead of, I think it took about 19, 20 minutes for them to arrive, and then for them to not be honest about when arrival that they were approached by violence or anger or aggressive protesters, and that's not true. The people were saying that he's gone already. He's gone. So at that time, they should have been looking for the suspect. It was just like they came in. I don't know what they came in to do. It didn't look like they came in to help.
Yeah, and also, people yelling and an aggressive posture is two different things.
Right.
Anyways, let's bring up Trey.
Yeah, Immediately I'm thinking about, the fact that as a mother, we've talked about this because there's really something going on where, our city can't just fess up to the truths. And I love that you're talking about the accountability piece here, because we've mentioned in other cases how they have not even offered a real apology. Like they're always trying to dip and dodge from just accepting the fact that this happened on our soil and we could have done something more to prevent this. And so I just want to ask you, have you heard from the city in that regard, from the police department or anybody to say, you know what, Donita Sinclair, we want to issue a sincere apology for the taking some responsibility for this?
Not, I haven't heard from the city at all. Barely the officers, but however, for Miss Durkin, not on disrespect, but for her to just say that she talked with the father and leaving me absent like I don't exist, because I do, I think it's a total line of disrespect. And I ask that the same, and whatever she talked with him about as the mother, I deserve that. And I just want that from her. And she rejected some request. I even think that did I talk to you about asking her to have a conversation with me?
Yeah, I know that's something that you want to do. I mean, here's the thing: is we're here right now live.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We talk to the mayor's office a lot about a lot of different things. We interview the mayor here twice a month. This is what exactly do you want from Mayor Durkin, so we can follow up with this today.
Well, number one, there's probably four things that I'm asking for her. Number one is an apology. She should apologize to me as a mother for not reaching out earlier, because it's been almost a year, and for you to go and talk just to the father like I don't exist is it shows me a lack of disrespect of who I am, and I do matter, and I am in pain. I am hurting. So she needs to know this. And another thing, I want accountability. I want accountability for why those officers, the paramedics, the fire department did not go in and help my son, and why was it, who gave the okay or the no okays. There's some answers there's some questions that needs to be answered about who said no and who said yeah and why not yet. For them leaving that precinct is a sign of disrespect and coward. That shows a sign of being a coward. I don't think that the city ever asks for our police to vacate the precinct. So I'm a little concerned on why they would do that, and why are they pretending like the community is requesting that. There's something that they're doing on their own, and I think that they're just being really cowardless about taking responsibility, even as the police. Or either you are to protect and provide, or you're a coward and you run. I don't have anything against that chief, but I think that Carmen Bess owes me an apology as well. When she was still an active chief when my son got killed, and she never said anything and she stepped down. I think that was disrespectful. And as a mother, as a person, I would have been reached out. But there is a lady that did reach out. I'm not really prawned on how to say her name, so I'm gonna try my best.
No, this was. Let me hand this over to you, and Jake.
Okay.
You might want to help if you can come in here on this. But this was Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. You could tell people what it is that the Congresswoman sent you there.
So I am so thankful and honored. So I want to say thank you, Miss Pamela.
Pramila
Jayapal. I want to thank her just for reaching out and taking time to show that my son mattered. His life did matter. And and she just gave me a little background on where she come from and having a premature baby. So I can understand. I know any mother can understand the pain that I am going through, the emptiness. And so, and for someone to say, well, we're going to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Well, I ask that it doesn't. I ask that there be a class action, or a law being changed saying Horst Lorenzo Act, that we never sign a petition or a event saying that we will not have law. We would not have the police there to support us in a time of need.
Right. Yeah, this is that's a big deal that a sitting congresswoman actually, and that was back in June of last year, June, July last year,
Right.
right?
I know. I was so surprised and I was excited. Now, I mean, it just gave me hope again that someone
You know
did care.
what's interesting? What's really interesting, and I guess we'll give the congresswoman a few points here, is that we're sitting here today talking about how elected officials are so quiet around these murders occurring. You know what I'm saying? You get the smallest, you get the person running for dog catcher here, and they scared to speak on something, you know. And here you have a Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, who wrote you a letter
Yes.
on official U.S.
Right.
Congress. You know what I'm saying? Stationary and everything else to acknowledge your loss.
Right, correct. And so I'm very thankful and I'm honored and I want to give her an extra amount of love. I mean, it's just so emotional, but it's honored. I'm honored.
All right. So maybe you can tell us, because legality is a lawsuit. There's only so much you can say and can't say and this and that. Why don't you tell us? Why don't we take some time, like I said, to breathe some life into Horace Lorenzo Anderson Jr.'s name?
Right. Okay. So, with the lawsuit, like I said, I can't really talk about it, but there's some outcomes that I would like from this if this happens. I want there would be a safe house where these young adults can go rapidly 24 hours a day. If they're feeling like they don't have nowhere to go, nobody to talk to, there's mentors, there's case managers, there's just peer support group. There's peers, there that they can get all the support that they need. I believe that that's important and we need to have this. We're talking about making changing rules and putting money back into communities. We need action. I don't want us to sit here and say that our community is not hurting. We have to start being as a leader, we have to start being honest about what's going on, and we're picking and choosing what kids they were taken care of, and as a whole, they all need to be taken care of. I can't say that your son don't matter and her son don't matter, but hers do. I have to take care of your son, and that son to make sure all the sons and all the daughters are being taken care of and their needs are being met. I can't do this alone. So I'm gonna need my community leaders to stop pretending and doing a little lying and start living in their truth and saying, what did you stand? What did you take this oath for? Being a community leader, just like you as a journalist, that means you got to get out, you got to get hard and dirty. There's some things you ain't gonna like, but then there's some things that's gonna be overwhelming. That say, I'm thankful and grateful why I did it. Um, I mean, I'm a little nervous because I don't always come on TV, but I just want to make sure that you guys know that Lorenzo was loved. I did get a portrait for my son in honor of my son down there on Rainier and Dearborn. I reached out to Durkis and she ain't answered, so I don't know if I was supposed to get a permit. So if I was, then that's what I was gonna ask you too. Okay, sorry about that. So I just gotta be honest about that was in the call that you rejected. Okay, so yeah, I might not want to keep that one. I'm sorry.
No, that's truth.
All right, sorry, but
we can't, so hold on. So you guys just ran up on the box then? Is that what you said?
we ran up on the box, man, and I mean the box is in effect. It's on Rainier and Dearborn.
Hey, bring up Trey. We got time for one more question, comment.
Okay.
So I'm throwing it back over to my colleague Trey Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you taking matters into your own hands, and clearly without having anybody, reaching out to you other than, Pramila Jayapal, which I think is amazing. Clearly you had to take matters into your own hands. My thing for you is that, when you talk about these community leaders, I really want them to hear from you. How can they be supportive of this action, staying outside of the lawsuit? But how can they really be supportive to bring resources to this safe house that you're talking about? Is there a way for people to participate in that?
Well, I'm just done putting it in the making, to be honest. I know that I do have the LLC, so getting the house and getting a center is going to take a little time. So I will get back with you guys on that part. But with the leadership, so it's two leaders to this. So it's the officials that makes the difference that us grantees are trying to write for, right? But what I'm saying is the other leaderships, the ones that's down on the ground, I need us to be able to come together and sit down and stop picking sides, because it's not a CD or South and the West Side. We're a whole, and we need to sit down and figure out what it is. Every step, every leadership, every program has strength and has power. So each individual youth is not going to need just one. They're going to need each and every one of us to come together. They're going to need the reading, the writing, the housing, the education, the mentoring, the learning how to be a parent, because there's some of them that's parents at a young age. They're going to need those parenting classes. We're going to need to be together, and we're going to be able to come like the Care Bears. We can't do it without, I need every heart to come together, and let's stop picking and choosing, getting them bandwagons. I'm not with that. I'm with all. I'm with a whole.
Yeah.
So
very smart. And I agree 100%. I think that there's a real role that community organizations, especially those that are disrupting this system of the systemic violence that we keep seeing happening in our communities, particularly with our youth. I think that there's a real opportunity here. We talk about unity all the time, but what does it actually look like in action? And how do we put all of that momentum into something that is going to be long-standing in terms of caring for the whole person? We talk about this all the time in so many different community sectors. And I think you're just absolutely right that there's a pathway here for community leaders and organizations to really come together and see this happen. So thank you for leading the charge.
Thank you.
All right, Donita. And you know, we made it through. I mean, all these times we be talking, I'm always the one who end up crying. You know what I'm saying?
We didn't cry today.
We didn't cry today. And also, I want to acknowledge something about you is over the last 12 months, you've seen us be around or cover or be impacted by so many things traumatically. And you call, this will be early morning. I get a call 6 a.m. It's Donita Sinclair. Omari, I saw this and that happen. Are you okay? And I always be thinking to myself, like, dang, she called to ask if I'm okay. And I be thinking, are you okay?
But we need that.
No,
you know, it's not just about me. Just, I know that I've asked you to come on here, you know, and supported you. But it's about each and every one of you guys in this building. One day I'm gonna call her and ask her, is she okay? Ask Jake. Jake hear from me, right, Jake? Are you okay? Because that's what it's about as a whole, as a unity. You know, it's not about me, and what Donita needs. Now that my son's passed, I need everybody. I've been needing everybody, and I've been here trying to be there for everybody, because we're broken. We're broken. We're hurting. So how do we heal this? How do we come together and say, I'm no longer allowing the power of pain to take control over where I'm going, my future. I'm letting go. I want to live. You know what I'm saying? So I want my son, even though he's not going to live here in flesh, that he lives here in spirit, that he knows that his life is gone, but he's going to be able to give an opportunity for a few, not one, a lot of other kids, a place to stay, a safe place to stay, someone that's going to be in their life to say, you are going to make it, you are going to be okay, not you a whole bunch of names and cussing and drinking and smoking. And I mean, it's just like a level to this. So I don't want us adults indulging with the kids anymore. Give these kids an opportunity to break that chain, an opportunity to live, you know, another avenue. It's not about always the quick way and the fast way, shortcut. Sometimes the long way will help you to get to the end of the, you know, the road, the tunnel that we're looking for, the light.
There it is. All right. We're going to let you go right here. We're going to take a quick break. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break right here. We come back. We got the big fella, Jake Ravbrod. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
You took me.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie. This practice. Pondering my next move. Staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missed my window. Praying like a Baptist. Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury. I'm joined by Trey Holiday, who's right over there, and boom, the camera magic. We also got Jake Grabrot here on set. There goes the big fella.
Jake!
So I'm gonna just jump right into this, man. Amtrak turned 50 the other day. Well, I was telling you, when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be the chief of onboard services, man. Used to ride the train everywhere. Want to play this video right here that Amtrak released celebrating their 50 years of service.
There was an era when Americans always traveled by rail. But as the passenger train fell on hard times, a handful of folks with bold political support found a way forward. As 20 different railroads discontinued their passenger service, that team of visionaries somehow built a unified national network from the pieces. And on May 1st, 1971, Amtrak went into service. Back then, we didn't have the best locomotives or state-of-the-art equipment, but we had incredible people. They got to work renewing our fleet, expanding service with state partners, and bringing high-speed rail to America. A lot has changed in 50 years, but the things that matter most haven't. Today, our dedicated employees are leading us into the next 50 years, setting ambitious sustainability goals, rolling out sleek new locomotives, and extending access to new communities. Our future was never guaranteed, and many expected us to fail. But at the heart of Amtrak, there's always been great people. People who believe in staying connected to faraway places, to our history, to what's next, and to each other. That's why the future rides with us.
All right, so Amtrak, 50 years old. Jake, you're the most travelingest person here on Converge these days. I've retired my passport. I bow down to your greatness. You brought this up because you're a train rider, and you said Amtrak has a lot of different specials going on right now.
Yeah, they, I've taken the train so many times over the years. Even took it back in 2020 between Chicago and Milwaukee. I've taken it other places in the Midwest. I've gone from Seattle to Portland and Seattle to Vancouver, across the border of a country by train. I love it. I love road trips, but one of the things that I love about the train itself is that you get a chance to see things that you don't normally get to see while you're flying or while you're driving, especially if I'm the person that's driving. So with Amtrak, I don't have to drive. I can actually just sit out and watch the window as the country goes by, and you get different types of views. That trip between Seattle and Portland is really beautiful because you're taking it along the water pretty much the entire way. But they have a fare sale going right now, and actually let me get the link. It's amtrak.com/50th-anniversary sale, and I looked up some different routes that I kind of have my eye on going to, because I would love to make it out to Montana to go to Glacier National Park. You can actually go to the national park via rail and get off, and if you're a bike rider, you could put a bike on the train and literally ride right into the national park, which is pretty crazy. But you can get out there for $49 right now, all the way out there. You go to Portland for $18. This fare sale, it lasts through Wednesday. Wednesday is the 5th. And as you saw in that video, May 1st of 1971 was the inception of Amtrak. So we are just past that 50-year mark. And these dates for the sale, it ends on the 5th, but the actual sale is for travel from June 2nd through, I believe it is November 13th. So basically the duration of this year through the holiday
I
season.
think you were saying that LA is $50 too.
Yeah, you can get down to LA for $50.
The Coast Starlight. Now I used to take the Empire Builder back in the day, the Pioneer, the California Zephyr, the Coast Starlight.
Yeah.
Good morning, America. How are you doing? The city of New Orleans. I had to think about it. The Palmetto. I'm taking a lot of these trains. Have you been on the Amtrak trail?
Oh my gosh. I just love that we're covering Amtrak because it's such a pivotal part of my childhood. So much of my family outside of Seattle really is in Northeast Portland. And so every year we had our family reunions down in Portland, and it was a real staple for us. My grandma had us on the train. So we would do the overnight train. We'd be in the sleeper compartments. We traveled on the train so much as a kid. And I'm so glad that they have these sales going on right now, because now I can take my sons on an amazing trip on the train. I think, people should utilize it as an option. As their commercial just said there, they have places that they're going to, hitting up newer communities, new locomotives. And it really was such a staple of my childhood. Oh, so I'm with you guys on this one. A real fan of the train. And I agree what you said, Jake, that, you don't have to worry about anything. And it's not as, cumbersome as a plane. So you can get on the train, enjoy a little bit in the dining cart. You can watch as the country goes by you. I agree. And I think everybody should be figuring out, well, where am I going to go on the train during this time frame? I think it's a great opportunity, if you haven't experienced the train, to get on this train, literally.
Well, I was a kid, that was a joy. Something about a train, that's magic. Hey, look, we got to get out of here, so we're gonna go around the horn. So since you're with us here at the last segment, Jake, any last words for you before we get out of here? I mean, clearly you encourage people to buy their ticket, but
yeah, I mean, like always, I think we still got to be smart about how we actually are traveling. So, wear your masks still, and keep that distance apart from people. We want to be able to get past all of this coronavirus so that we can actually really get out there and do stuff that we've been aching to do for these last couple of years now.
Yeah, no kidding. Trey Holiday, any last words for you today?
For me, you guys, it's clear, having Donita on the show today really enforced it for me once again. It's important that we really all see ourselves as a part of the solution. Here we have an example today of a mother who lost her son, who is not allowing it to stay rested there. She is looking forward and into the future at solutions that she can help bring. And I think it's just so important for all of us to really see ourselves as a part of the solution, as she has.
Yeah, good stuff. Definitely, for sure. Want to give big thanks to Donita for taking the time, join us here today. I mean, that's a big deal. Great conversation. And we'll continue to say his name, Horace Lorenzo Anderson Jr. That's it for us here today. So, as usual, want to remind you, go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. rising sun.